Hello, good evening, everyone. Live by design, not by default. Welcome to another episode in our series, Inspirational Moments with me, Billy. Thank you for joining us this evening. Once again, I know that now with many of us back into the office, back to work, that some of you may just be stepping inside your house from the workplace. So thank you for tuning in and thank you for joining me. Good evening as usual goes to Brian, Joseph and Kit watching from KL. There you go. Okay, so do feel free to say hello to one another and tell us where you are watching from. Okay, I'd like to begin regarding this evening's topic. Is about liar, right? So we'll be talking about lies and we'll be talking about liars and how we can observe and make observations and detect cues when someone is telling us a lie. Now, reading body language can help us in a variety of situations. In customer service, in sales, definitely, in negotiations, in leadership situations, when you're making presentations or just generally communicating and interacting with people at large. All right, so if only that, when someone lies to us, that their nose will grow longer. If only it is that easy to read. But we're all inborn with the power of the unconscious mind that's capable of accumulating information via our five senses, more so than we can observe consciously. All right. So I'd like to begin this evening with some questions. All right. Hello, EC. Greetings from Dubai. Hi. Okay. So first of all, do feel free to type in what questions you have that you would like to discuss regarding the topic this evening, or that you have some pointers to share with regard to reading people, right? And that brings me to my second question this evening. How do you tell when someone is lying to you? How do you tell? How do you know when people are lying to you? Yeah, so while you are typing out some of your responses to share, your personal techniques or your personal skills, how you go about observing if someone is lying to you. Let me also bring some important points so that we can all take note, because quite often people are very enthusiastic about, hey, catching people out in a lie. Now, so there are some important points to note. Hello, Leonard. All right, first of all, when we are making observations of any cues, body language, words, or their non-verbal cues, we must always evaluate. So this is the number one important thing. All right, we must always evaluate by considering the context and the content, the situation, as well as to give the other person individualized considerations. That means we do not use a blanket approach, or we do not just jump into conclusion just because of one cue that you managed to pick up, right? Okay, Joseph and Joseph as well. Okay, so first off, Joseph is already sharing the eyes, the lips, the body shift. There you go. Okay, and Joseph, body language and their tone of voice. Nice. Keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming, guys. I'd like to hear it from the ladies too. Hello, Anne. You guys are always addressing me like that. Just call me Billy. All right. So first important point is that we must always evaluate by considering the situation, the context. It's not about whether a person is lying to you, but it is why is the person lying. That's more important, right? Second, when we are making observations on the eyes, on eye contacts, on shoulder shrugging, so when both shoulders shrug, or I'm trying to do that, like, not so, doesn't come so second nature to me, huh? It's a very unconscious behavior. The shoulder shrug, the eye contact. We tend to very often use this as cues to detect if someone is lying to us. However, do take note that people with social anxiety problems, with autism spectrum, PTSD, Tourette syndromes, and quite a few neurological disorders, such as generative ones like Alzheimer, Parkinson's, or people who have had negative experiences with domestic violence and abuse. Victims of this sort may people like that may display such behaviors, right? So don't just jump on it because it's, the person is not making eye contact with you, or that you're seeing some unusual movements. All right, it could be a variety of issues, and some of which are medical, as I've mentioned, as I just mentioned. All right, so that's the second point for us. Now the third point is we never just use one sign to jump into conclusion, to definitively say and conclude that someone is lying. So we don't just depend on just that one word, or that one body language, that one look, or that one avoidance of eye contact to conclude that someone is lying definitively. Yeah. Yes, I totally agree with you. Eye contact can give hints as well, and of course this don't we all love it, white lies. Yeah, so all lies included. I'll be sharing some statistics with you in a moment. All right, number 4, for animals, human beings, the animal kingdom, we have discovered, or it's been said, that the bigger the brain, the more we lie. All right, so as human beings, you can tell, how big our brain is, all right, and therefore how much lies we are telling on a daily basis. Hello, Lynn. Good evening. Thanks for joining us once again. Point number 5 is that you always confirm and reconfirm before concluding if someone is lying. All right. Personally, I would say give people the benefit of doubt. All right. So these are 5 very important points, and I want to repeat them for those who just joined us. Number 1 is that you evaluate by considering the context, the content, the situations, and give individualized considerations. Number 2, do take note that the usual things that we tend to pay attention to as cues to detect or spot someone's lie is by looking and examining if they're making eye contact or they're avoiding eye contact with you. And I just want to bring it across that people with social anxiety, autism spectrum, PTSD, and a variety of degenerative disorders can cause behaviors like this, such as avoiding eye contacts, unnecessary movements, and shifty movements, and shrugging of the shoulders, right? So never just use a single cue, and give people individualized consideration. Number 3, never just use one sign to conclude definitively that someone is lying. Number 4, always confirm and reconfirm before concluding if someone is lying. So give people the benefit of doubt, right? Now, some interesting information here for you. Oh, hello, Mo. Good to see you online. I think it's the first time you're joining us. And as also just shared that I usually don't like eye contact. Some people can find it intimidating, and it may well be that they're normal. It's just them, right? So it's just part of their behaviors, and that's why, as I mentioned earlier on, we never just use one sign as a cue. All right. Some interesting information on the daily basis. People lie anywhere from 10 to 200 times. So how many have you done today? Another discovery, men lie 8 times more for themselves than for others, whereas women lie more for others than for self. So conversations with strangers happened. When a conversation with a stranger happened, on average, there are 3 lies in every 10 minutes. Talk about dealing with strangers, huh? Okay, and even with our friends or acquaintances, simple things like, hey bro, miss you bro, I hope you're doing fine. There's 3 lies right there. First one is the bro. Maybe you're not that bro, but using that word to build an affinity, all right, to try and use a word to make a connection. Hey, I missed you, man. All right, that's second lie. I hope you're doing well. That's the third lie. How many people really think about your well-being versus their own well-being, especially if you're not that close to them? Okay, on a daily basis. Yes, Mindy, it is on a daily basis. I just given you an example, when you meet an acquaintance within that first minute. Hey, bro, I missed you, man. I hope you're doing well. There's already 3 lies right there, right? So on a daily basis, that's right. There's a lot of lies going on. Okay, so I think several kinds of people are watching the program this evening. The ones who want to spot a liar, and the ones who want to be better at lying. All right, so Mary has something to share. Okay, certain races also do not look into people's eyes, especially with the elderly. Like here in Asia, we live in a very culturally and racially diverse society. And yes, there are some where kids are taught from young to not make direct eye contact with an elderly person, especially if the elderly person is telling you something important, or it's lecturing you, or it's giving you some instructions that will be perceived as rude, right? So there you go. We need to take all the situations and everything into consideration. Yeah. Now, unlike the typical videos that talks about lies, where there's a lot of videos that we're gonna show. No, not showing Bill Clinton, not showing Donald Rumsfeld, not showing Donald Trump. Okay, maybe the next part. I do think that this topic warrants more than just one session. All right, one, because personally I find it to be very intriguing, very interesting, and secondly, I found that a lot of people do find it very interesting. Okay, so once again, for those who just joined us, my questions this evening is, first of all, what questions you have, and secondly, how do you spot when someone is lying to you? Yeah. All right, so some common signs of lying. All right, the use of language to deceive. In our terminology, we call that spinning. That means using language patterns, using communication skills and techniques to spin a message. All right, so that's that's typically one of the ways that liars, especially those who speak in public very often, tend to use as far as techniques and skills are concerned in lying. And of course, we also, if you recall, we mentioned, I think a couple of episodes ago, when it comes to dealing with people and communication, we use the 3 V's. All right, and the 3 V's are verbal, which are the words we choose to use. Vocal refers to our tone, the rate of speech, our inflection, our emphasis, our volume, our natural voice. And then the third V, which is visual. That means your facial expressions and your body language. All right, so second way that's most common in the detecting, or most common signs of lying, is when the 3 V's are conflicting. That means the words and the tone and the body language does not convey the same message. Yeah. Okay, I'm running a 20 to 30 seconds lag, so I'm waiting to hear from you. Hello, Brenda. It's been a long time, Brenda. All right. Okay. So do tell me, how do you spot a liar? Remember, in all the sessions that we do, we want it to be interactive, and as much as I will share, I would like to learn from you as well. Yep. Okay, so I've just gone through 2 things. Now, specifically, let me get into it. How do you pronounce the words? How do you pronounce these letters, L-Y, put together? How would you pronounce that? L-Y. All right. Do you pronounce it as Lee? Do you pronounce it as lie? Okay, so if you like, think of it as pronounce it as lie, because that's usually another giveaway. All right, when people use words like honestly, frankly, truthfully, notice they all end with an ly, right? Okay, whenever you hear words, spoken words like that, that needs a justification, that I'm being honest, I'm being frank, I'm being truthful, then there's always calls to mind the question, why is it the person needs to justify that or to emphasize that? Okay, so that will be one example with regard to verbal. All right, and then there is the vocal. So communication is largely unconscious, which means that even though there are people who are very good at lying, there would still be a lot of signs and cues that will be dead gift away if we know what to look out for. There you go. Joseph has just contributed to the list of lie, L-Y, sincerely. Why is there a need to emphasize that if you're already sincere, if you're already truthful, if you're already honest, or if you're already frank? Okay, let's see what Mindy has here. My friend once wrote a paper on deception and how much percent of truth is included on lies. Oh, okay. Do you have any statistics based on your friend's research? That would be something interesting that I'd like to find out. I mean, a lie is a lie, right? Like how many percent of a truth is included in a lie? Something to think about. Okay, so second V would be our vocal. And that's when you hear, quite obviously, an upward inflection. Now, inflection means the tone of the last word in the sentence. So does it sound like this? Trust me, this is good for you. Or does it go like, trust me, this is really good for you? Right, so inflection is the tone of the last word. So when the inflection goes up, it's being processed as a question. Now, if someone is making a statement and it comes across sounding like a question with an upward inflection, then we know straight away that the words and the tone are not incongruent. They are conflicting each other. All right, anytime the words contradict the non-verbal, the verbal contradicts the non-verbal, then there is a lack of congruence. That means there is a conflict. All right, so upward inflection, quite a dead giveaway, and especially these days now, if we have, like, with the mask covering half of the face already. Actually, I feel this is a great time to start polishing up on reading micro expressions, because when we look at someone and can see the whole face, we tend to be like this. We can be easily distracted with a lot of sickness and a lot of things to watch out for. But with the mask on, then you're only looking at the eyes. Can you tell just by looking at the eyes if someone is smiling? Can you tell? All right, so there's another question here. Joseph Ng said, how accurate is the lie detector? Okay, lie detector picks up irregularity in the pulse rate, in heartbeat, in breathing. Yeah, and the inconsistency of the tone and the verbal aspects. Yeah, I guess the accuracy depends very largely. Again, I'll bring you back to the few important points I mentioned earlier. First of all is the context, the situation. Secondly, I think the interviewer plays a very important role as well. So how accurate is the lie detector? Is as accurate as a lie detector can be, picking up irregularity in pulse rates, in temperature, in breathing patterns, right? So it's as accurate as that. But I think the human lie detector can potentially be a lot more accurate. Trust your unconscious mind and the instinct and the gut feel you get, because that comes from your unconscious mind having accumulated information, and typically of incongruence and little cues and micro expressions that, unless you have a very well trained, keen observational eye, most of us tend not to notice it consciously. All right, okay, how about the speed? Some people speak faster than usual when they are lying. That's also possible. So again, we don't depend on one thing, right? So if it's about the rate of speaking, I would then observe it based on the context. If the person is sharing something exciting, something they are enthusiastic about, right, then obviously they are going to speak faster. And those of you who are NLP trained, you know that people who are more visually oriented also have a tendency to speak faster. So I will not just use the speed as the cue to definitively say the person is or is not lying, but rather I would evaluate it based on the context, the situation, as well as what is the norm. versus what is not the norm. All right, if the person seems to be trying to hurry through the answers just to quickly get it over and done with, then we may be looking at possible reasons why the person is doing something like that. So as I mentioned, it's not just why whether or not people are lying, it's why people lie. What are the reasons? What's the purpose behind those lies? All right, Jaina. Oh, it's been a long time. I haven't spoke with you. When someone tries to justify, they are trying to convince themselves too. Yeah, there you go. I've often got people asking me this, like how can someone just make eye contact when they are lying? Because we know that the natural first sign when people lie is that they tend to avoid eye contact, right? So how come there are people who can make eye contact when they're lying? Again, look out for what is unusual and what is exceptional. All right. For instance, if you notice that the person is speaking normally and then suddenly trying to brush it off, or that they're taking unusually long, and the people who can make eye contact even while they're lying, you may want to look out for those eye contact being a little bit unusual. They tend to be overly doing it. They tend to be more prolonged, and probably a little bit too intense and too deliberate. All right, that usually tells me that this person has already planned how to say the lie. So when they're already planned and they have time to pay attention and all, so they start to be conscious, to prepare themselves to lie convincingly. And that's when I think they would have overcompensated. Right, let me see. EC also has some pointers. Yes, look at the age of the eyes. I think you're responding to my question earlier on about if someone wears a mask, can you see from the eyes if the person is smiling at you without looking at the mouth per se? So this is a good time to break the face into parts, and make observations of all the micro expressions. Okay, let me see. Oh, dating situation. All right. Okay, when in a Q&A on a date. Okay, never do you go on a Q&A on a date. They reply with a one-word answer and don't elaborate further. What does that mean? Does that mean the person is lying? Again, depends on the context, depending on the question, depending on how the question is asked, depending on if rapport has already been established and trust has been established, that I want to trust you enough to answer the questions, or I'm not comfortable yet to tell you more about me. All right. Also, expressing dramatic event, breaking up an engagement. When you ask them to describe detailed event, they point out landmarks, no details, and avoiding details. Again, yes and no. All this, let's put it this way. Again, we want to combine several signs and signals and everything together before we decide whether or not all those signs add up to the person lying to you, and whether it adds up or not. Okay. All right. So vocal, as I mentioned, was the second thing. Now visual, today we'll just focus on the face. All right. So first of all, it's the eye contact. All right. So when people are lying, they tend to break eye contact as they are saying the lie, or that their eye contact is a little bit too deliberate and too intense. That's a sign the person has planned how to tell the lie. Or like eye blocking, covering the eyes, or making little gestures, to show as if like, no, I'm just scratching my face, but actually you're trying to hide the eyes. That falls into the category of blocking. All right, so blocking, another thing to look at from the face are the lips, right? Covering of the mouth as they're saying something. That's a sign of lying. All right, hiding the mouth, tightening of the lips. After saying something and hiding of the lips are also signs that the person may not be truthful at this moment. Right, okay, so Sam, hello Sam. Billy, is there like a top 3 body movements that can indicate a person might be lying, such as having or touching the nose or the eyebrow areas? Right, yeah, like touching the eyebrow areas, it falls under the category of eye blocking. Yeah, so the eyes are typically one of the cues, as I mentioned earlier on. But please also keep in mind, as I mentioned before, people with social anxiety problems, degenerative diseases, and all that would also have behaviors like that. All right, so let's not be too quick to jump into conclusion, but combining several things together. All right, so yeah, blocking of the eyes, blocking of the mouth, hiding the lips. All right, doing some kind of unusual movement to scratch the face, and talking. And right, people with glasses, they use both hands to push their glasses instead of pushing the glasses here. All right, so yeah, this would be things that I will be looking out for. Touching the nose is especially relevant for men. It's been said that men has a reptile sense in the tip of their nose that will cause the nose to itch when they are lying. All right, so men, once they lie, they do something like that, or they do something like that before they lie. All right, actually, there are two signals that I would want to highlight here. One of which is the rubbing of the nose. All right, and secondly, it's blocking. It's blocking the mouth. It's blocking part of the face. All right, so that's blocking that we are looking out for. Okay, another thing coming from the eye would be, like, for example, an extended eye closure duration. Okay, sounds a bit complicating. What I meant to say is, when the person is talking to you, as they are talking, obviously we blink our eyes, right? So, is the blinking taking longer? Is the duration longer than normal? For instance, I like to watch those FBI crime movies and all this, because we tend to learn a lot of things from this TV series. Favorite is Criminal Minds, and then following closely is Lie to Me, which unfortunately after season 3 they already cut it off. I remember watching a case where the woman who murdered her baby, as she was talking, she was being interviewed by the press, as she was talking about how much she loves her baby. The whole duration that she was talking about it, for 9 seconds long, her eyes were shut. She was talking like this for now, how much I love my baby. All right, so that's unusual. Try talking to someone and do a deliberate closure of your eye as you are talking or listening, and then count up to 9 seconds and see how awkward that feels, right? So anything that is unusual, we are looking for signs. All right, okay. Oh yes, Joseph Ng also mentioned about the mentalist. It's worth watching on how to catch a lie. Mentalist, yes and no, right? Yeah, some NLP techniques and hypnosis techniques here and there. All right, so yes, definitely give the benefit of doubt. Sharon's, let me see what Sharon's mentioned, saying here. I have problem identifying if my daughter's lying. Either way, she will start crying, and I just can't seem to see the other signs. Okay, using an emotional blackmail situation. Okay, well, does it warrant the issue at hand? Does it warrant and justify crying? All right, and again, also it varies from people, from person to person. Some are more highly emotional, more expressive in that sense, and therefore some people cry easily. So is your daughter that sort that cries easily, or when they start grilling into certain issues that they are starting to cry and showing anything that's unusual? All right, so look out for any unusual behaviors and signs and signals. All right, Joseph Ng talks about that guilty look. All right, how does guilt looks like, huh? How does guilt look like? When someone is guilty, think about it. When you are guilty, how would you interact and deal with the person? All right, would it be avoiding of eye contact? All right, would it be trying to mask micro expressions of guilt? All right, by deliberately extending the lips a little bit more, giving an impression that you are relaxed and smiling when you are not. Right, so look out for signals like that. What about those people who believe in their lies so much they convince themselves that they are telling the truth? Yeah, all right, well, it's down to integrity, isn't it? Huh? There are some people who, we all have a conscience, right? So if you do something wrong and you know that you are wronged, and one way to justify you not feeling so guilty and not feeling so bad is to come up with your own internal interpretation of the situation, so that and twist your logic and self-convince yourself in order not to feel the guilt, and therefore maybe having to project the guilt, or experiencing the negative emotions of guilt. All right, so yeah, it is possible. Some people convince themselves that they are telling the truth in order to come across as telling the truth. So yes, all right, so we talk about the eye blocking, the lip blocking, extended close. Another one is the shoulder. All right, so I'm more covering on the things that that are more relevant in our context nowadays, with a lot of over the online kind of calls and meetings that you can see up to like the shoulder area. All right, anytime there's a shoulder shrug, both side, one side, either side, before, during, immediately after they say something, that's a sign they are not telling the truth. And especially look out for the micro one, like one I just did. Do you notice it? That's what we mean by micro. Very subtle, comes across as may even be so subtle that you don't even realize that it was being done. Those would be what I classify as micro expressions. Okay, how about when a person is crying and talking? Okay, again, we have to look at it depending on the context, the situation. All right, so no out and out fast rules about crying therefore and talking therefore is no. Let's look out for all the other signs and signals as well. And yes, maybe some are pathological liars, all right, or when the content is not logical, then it's a lie. I think it's not about so much whether the content is logical or not, because we make sense of different things, right? So what is logical to me may or may not be logical to you, right? So if that's the case, then we cannot just simply say that the content doesn't sound logical to me, therefore it's a lie. Yeah, so I will not do that, but rather I would listen out for consistency. All right, that means every time this person talk about this issue, is it the same thing that they are talking about? Is there consistency in what they are saying? All right, or are they now twisting it, or are they now changing it? All right, because hence honesty is the best policy. Yeah, you lie so much, you don't know who you lied what to. You better have a good memory to keep track of who you lie, or who you have told what kind of lies to, so that you always remember who you lied what to who. Right, that can be more challenging than trying to be deceptive. Okay, so look out for micro signals, look out for micro signs. Yeah. Okay, at this point I want to take some more questions, because like I said, this is probably not a one session kind of topic. There are a lot more that we can talk about. Yeah, from the eyebrows, the forehead, the facial muscle tone, colors, all right, little movements, mouth movements, lips movements. If you divide the face into half, the top part and the bottom part, does it gel together? Does it communicate the same message at the same time? So yeah, there's a lot of things and a lot of cues. Right, let's see. Mindy, I don't know what you're referring to when you say could be. All right. Joseph, there you go. Need another lie to cover up another lie. So before you know it, there's so many lies you tell to so many different people, you cannot keep up with your own lies. Eventually, you're gonna give away. Yeah. Okay, now Mindy has something to say. I like to be able to educate others on how to spot scammers online, especially those who cheat others by pretending to be someone else. Okay. I think it's quite common these days that we receive an email, we receive a friend request. Recently I received a friend request to ask me to add this person into into my Facebook friend list. And as some of you know, I have a personal page with my name and a space in between my name and my surname. That is a personal page. Facebook has a limit of 5,000 people maximum that you can add into your friends list. And so very often I can't. And then from this person, because the profile picture and all that wasn't like very clear as well, because it's quite small. So I tend to respond whenever someone make a request to add into my friends list by asking the person to join my new page, which is created as a page, and therefore there is no limit, and that you can join me there. And if you have anything that you like to discuss with regard to business and coaching and all that, just feel free to contact me again. And this person just keep contacting me thereafter, talking about how my profile seems trustworthy and all of that. I mean, hey, look, you hardly even know me, all right? At first, I thought it was a client or a student or someone who's been to my sessions before, only to find out later on, no, it was just something that's soliciting for a relationship of some sort. And so, yep, definitely scammers. All right, so do your due diligence. I mean, sure, we live in an internet online world. The world is getting smaller now. People can transcend geographical barriers to connect with one another, but still take precautions, be extra careful, especially nowadays with like so many liars and so many scams around. Particularly they're preying on a few things. Usually it starts with admiration, love, and then you receive all the compliments, and then, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed emotionally. I'm no longer thinking logically. I'm no longer activating my brain, all right, my cognitive faculties to analyze the situation. And many people fall prey. All right. So I think the objective of a session like that, one is because this is a topic of interest to me, it's interesting, and that we are also building this series by making each episode relevant to the past episodes. All right, so come time to talk about things like that, right? Especially if we already discussed about the 3 V's. I may get more into details if you like this topic. Right. For example, I mentioned about spinning. When people use linguistic skills and techniques to deceive, right? That's called spinning. And I may just do a session on spinning. Right. Leave a comment. Let me know if you like. Let me know if you like for me to discuss this at some point, maybe in the next session or subsequent sessions. Yeah. All right. So beyond all of this, how do you spot a liar? What else do you do to spot a liar? Okay. Yeah. Spinning. There you go. Right. Well, who's particularly good at spinning? Right. I think certain politicians, public figures, are good at spinning certain things, right? Making what not make sense convincing even, right? Some of them gets that good. Okay, so in summary, this evening I just want to point out that few things again. Always evaluate by considering the whole context. It's never about whether someone is lying, but it's why, what are the reasons behind it, what's the purpose behind it. Yeah. Oh, human lie detector. Is there such a thing as a human lie detector? I thought we all have the inbuilt capability to detect lie. If your gut feel tells you, your intuition tells you that the person is lying, I will trust my gut feel and my intuition, because it comes from the unconscious mind, which has a lot more power and capabilities in accumulating information that I may not otherwise consciously observe and notice. Yep. All right, would like a spinning class. There you go. All right, taking everybody to spin. Aha, that's the word. Mary, yeah, women call it the sixth sense. Okay, not well. No, we don't necessarily call it the sixth sense, but the women have the capability to multitask senses in their mind, combining what they see, what they hear, and what they feel, and analyze it at the same time. Whereas men tend to switch and move from one sense to the next sense. I think men multitask like physical motor skills. Women multitask sensory skills. Yeah. So when a man is looking, the man is no longer listening or feeling. Get carried away. Okay, there you go. Okay, so do evaluate by examining the context for sure. All right. Although the normal few things that we use very outright to spot if someone is lying would be whether their eye contacts, whether their shoulder shrug movements, all right, whether they are blocking of eyes, face, rubbing of the nose, or any unusual gestures, all right. Avoiding of eye contact when they're saying something can be perceived as a lie, or maybe just the eyes moving because the brain is thinking and accessing information. All right. So those who have done NLP would know we have the eye patterns where visual people will go up, move their eyes upwards to remember and then to construct. Right, move sideways to remember, to construct sounds. Visuals up there, and emotions is down here, whereas self-talk is over down at this side. So is that necessarily mean that I'm breaking eye contact, or am I accessing information from my memory bank as I'm communicating and saying something? Again, combine all the cues together, never just depend on one. Okay, let's see. Women's intuition. Totally agree. Okay, there are also people who are desperate. They will believe the lies fed to them. Right. Yes, there you go. So appealing to love, like loneliness, right? People do things to avoid, and people can go to great lengths of doing things in order to avoid not feeling loved, not being loved, not being given enough attention to, not acknowledged enough, all the basic human psychological emotional needs not fulfilled. Scammers tend to attack from those angles if you pay attention and if you notice. Right, either that or the clearing throat sound. Okay, actually I will not look at the clearing throat sound. Largely depends on the situation. Again, I mean, if I'm talking for a prolonged period, quite normal that I may clear the throat every once in a while. So in that sense, then I don't think, I know that I'm not lying, so I wouldn't think that I would take that as lying. But swallowing, a big swallow before or after the person says something, that's a sign the person is swallowing their own words. Right, so again, combine that with other things. All right, the eyes, the blocking, the vocal inflection. All right, and then anything that's unusual. Okay, let me see. Gut instinct feels fishy in your gut. Most probably is true, depending on context and personality. There you go. All right, so that's a qualifying statement there. Depending on context, depending on situation. All right, it's not about whether someone is lying to you, it's why and for what purpose. And do we necessarily want to spot and expose those lies? Remember, I said this on even when I meet someone whom I knew, an acquaintance. Within that first minute, already 3 lies happen. Hey, bro, missed you, man. I hope you're doing well. Gosh, that's already 3 lies right there, right? What? Since when are we, bro? And how come you never contact me if you miss me? And really, you think about my well-being? All right, okay, not being overly skeptical as well. I think it's about giving people the benefit of doubt. Reading body language can be a lot of fun. Spotting liars can be a lot of fun. To me, it's more learning and practicing and using it to observe people so that I can hear beyond what people are saying verbally. This is what matters to me. To me, the learning outcome for this is for us to know that when you lie, there are a ton of signals that's giving way. You're giving away a lot of cues. Whatever happens inside, they always reflect and project on the outside. All right, so might as well be authentic, be sincere, be truthful, and then live life with integrity. All right, that way we don't need to have a huge memory storage space to remember who have I told what lie to, so that I can keep up with it. I find that eventually it's a lot more tiring to lie than to be truthful. I think learning these observational skills is for us to use it to love people, to use it to learn about others, to use this to hear people with their fears, with their anxiety, with their life's challenges, and listen beyond what is being said, right? More so than just, hey, I know you're lying to me. I mean, okay, right. I think nobody here dare say that you have never lied before, right? And how often do you justify by saying, hey, it's a white lie, I meant well? All right, action, communication, intention, not necessarily always aligned. Okay, there you go. Yeah, Mary, I'm glad you agree with me. Exactly, the learning is to reflect on ourselves. That's right, is to reflect on ourselves. Big question is, why human lie? Can be a variety of situations. One, get the job done in customer service, perhaps getting the job done. Two, making a sale, convincing the prospect to make a purchase, negotiating, just so that you don't rock the boat, and maintaining a social certain cordialness, if you like, about the social setting, without rocking the boat too much, right? Already, something interesting here. When I go to functions and all that, I mean, as much as I'm a public speaker, I speak to like big groups of people and all that, I'm not always comfortable talking to people one-on-one in certain situations. And so sometimes just, simply because I'm not that comfortable at that moment to talk, or it wasn't a good time for me, and because of that, I may be avoiding eye contact. It's more a disinterest. It's more because I'm not so interested, I'm not so engaged at this moment, more than, I'm trying to lie or to tell a lie, right? So I think, again, evaluate it based on the context. Yeah. Bottom line is about learning how to read, so that as we go about living life, not taking advantage of others, let's also protect ourselves from being taken advantage of. Lying requires two parties, at least, you realize. Yeah. One is, of course, the liar. The other, the person who's being lied to, has also willingly agreed to be lied to, have chosen to believe as well, right? So it's a two-party, it's a collaborative kind of action. Yeah. So everyone lie on the basis, some lie to save themselves, some lie to save others. Yeah, just now earlier on I said this, and that shocked some of you. Quite a fair bit there. On an average day, people lie from 10 to 200 times. Men lie 8 times more for themselves than for others. Women lie more for others than for themselves. Right? Yeah. So parents lie. There you go. My mom lies sometimes so that the siblings do not fight. There you go. Sometimes, see, so back to what I was saying again. It's not whether or not the person is lying. It's more, why did the person not tell you the truth? What are the reasons? What are the purpose of the person not telling you the truth? Yeah. And also on our part, have we gained the trust from the other person in order for the person to be an open book to you and answer all your questions truthfully? All right. So yeah, I think it's something that is on an ongoing day-to-day basis. People lie to us, we lie to people, just to maintain cordial relationship, not rock the boat. I think bottom line, learning outcome here is for us to be authentic. Let me say it again: to be authentic, to be sincere, to be genuine, to be truthful, and live life with integrity. Right? So, yeah, as I was saying, like sometimes I just don't feel engaged with when someone wants to engage me in a conversation, say in a function, in a meeting. And because of that, I'm not making eye contact and all, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not telling you the truth. It could well be that I'm not engaged and that I'm occupied or preoccupied with something, or that I have something that I want to do. See, there's so many reasons, right? So depending on the context, yeah. So yeah, for those who know what I do, I get people who go like, hey, don't look at his eyes, you know, Billy can see through you. Yeah, but then again, there's sometimes that I don't want to see through you. In fact, I don't want to make eye contact right now. Okay, so there's a wide variety of reasons for that. I'd like you to give it some thoughts and more thoughts, so that when we come back next week and explore more. So coming back next week, we'll talk more about how to spot when someone is lying. What are the micro expressions, the micro signals, the very minute negligible signals that we can learn to be more conscious of and to be more aware of. All right. Meanwhile, let's all be more authentic. Let's all be more sincere. Let's all be more genuine. But as long as you know it's a white line and nobody gets hurt along the way, you decide if you are going to stick to the truth, or that you may want to spin it. All right, so not placing any judgment call on this, right? It's just that it's something that we humans do for the sake of protecting ourselves, for the sake of protecting others, for the sake of protecting the situation, the relationship. So it could be due to a variety of reasons. Yeah. And again, the signals that we talk about, the cues we talk about this evening, the blocking, the eye contact, the lips, the shoulder shrug, unusual movements and all. Remember, people who have a traumatic past, people who are victims of domestic violence and abuse, people with degenerative neurological disorders, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, PTSD, social anxiety disorder, autism spectrum will display these behaviors. All right, so perhaps observing all these signs and cues is so that we will learn more about them, so that we will hear their fears, their anxiety, and their life challenges, and be in a position to add value to them. All right, by offering your help, by offering your friendship. Okay, I think I've said enough for this evening. We'll come back and we'll talk more about this. In the meantime, I'd like you to give it some thoughts, right? How, from now till we meet again next week, how, and ever since today, this evening, how have you interacted with people? What signs now are you becoming more conscious of, more aware of? So that when we revisit this again next week, we can talk about this, and I'm looking forward to learn more from you as well. Hi, Sunny. See you next week. Okay, when you came in quietly and without comment, I didn't know who come in and join us. So if I have not acknowledged you and I have not greeted you, I still want to thank you for joining me this evening. And if you can think of someone who can benefit from the topics that we discuss every week, please feel free to refer them to come join us, like our social media page, follow, go to our YouTube channel, Billy Craig International, where all past episodes of this series, Inspirational Moments with Billy, is being uploaded. Yep. And more and more, I will try to include some of the things that we covered during our training workshops. That may include a variety of soft skills topics, and not all of them will be on the live stream. Some will be uploaded direct to our YouTube channel. Yeah, with that, I want to say thank you very much for joining me this evening. Today has been quite a challenging day for me, because I guess it's because it's now coming to July. I'm due for a surgery again in August. So yeah, the broken spine is acting up here and there. All right, thank you once again for joining me this evening. I hope you learned something useful this evening, something of value. If not, at least I get you thinking about how you interact with people, how you deal with people, and how we can hear beyond what people are saying in order to really connect and understand and appreciate people better. With that, good night. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week. Thank you.